Hello Tigers, and welcome to the TMNtv Newscast for Monday, March 4th, 2019. Stay tuned for the latest news at Fort Hays State University and around Northwest Kansas and the nation. I'm Lexi Gross, and shortly we will take a look at what's going on around the globe. Then Braden Holochek will fill you in on what's happening in the sports world. But first, here's what's making news in Tigerland. Several incidents have been reported to the Ellis County Sheriff's Office in relation to a jury duty scam. The scam includes a call from a number that appears to be Hays law enforcement, claiming a warrant has been issued for failure to appear for jury duty. The caller first identifies himself as a sheriff or jailer and then states that in order to avoid being arrested, there is a fine that must be paid. It is likely that the caller is seeking to gain personal information of Hays citizens in order to steal their identity. At this point in time, law enforcement is unsure of who is making the calls, but is still under investigation. The Sheriff's Office has advised those who receive a call similar to this should hang up immediately and report it as soon as possible. Do not pay any fine without first contacting the court directly. After 3 decades of serving the Hays community, the Bingo Haus will be closing its doors for good. Owners Deb and Linus Fahnenstyle will host its last bingo night on Friday, March 22nd. The shutdown is due to a lack of demand for bingo in Hays. At its beginning, the Bingo Haus was extremely successful, at times holding 16 separate events a week. Now they are down to 3 nights a week with a much smaller crowd. The news was most difficult for locals William Unrein and Ollie Billinger, who rarely ever miss a bingo night. Over the years, Unrein has won the $500 blackout 4 times and Billinger has won it 5 times. The two both stated their sadness for its closing and stated that there is not much for the elderly to do in Hays. The Bingo Haus was where they went to have fun and be social, and now they are uncertain of how they will spend their free time. The pair stated they will miss the nights at the Bingo Haus with the Fahnenstyles, and the space at 1218 Canterbury will go up for lease, and all of the equipment and supplies will be auctioned off starting at 10 a.m. Kansas lawmakers recently submitted a bill to change the law of capital punishment to a life sentence without the chance of parole. After a House committee decision deadlocked at 6-6, the bill was defeated with a tie-breaking verdict from Representative Russ Jennings. Capital punishment will remain in the state of Kansas, but not without dispute. The murder of Celis Dixon's mother in 1986 led Michael Richards to death row, and after much controversy, eventually death by lethal injection. Dixon stated that following Richards' death, she only felt anger and regret. Though nothing could ever fix what happened, this was not beneficial in her journey to healing. Now in Kansas, Dixon has shared her experience with the false promises that death row offers the victims. She stated that she felt guilty looking forward to his last breath, and that was ultimately what led her to speak out against capital punishment. Kansas first reinstated capital punishment in 1994 and has been under debate since that day. Over the years, it has been questioned whether or not putting inmates on death row is necessary and justified. Some have argued that they feel it is a way of a life sentence. Others, like Dixon, stated they do not feel it provides relief and closure. This bill is likely to face more scrutiny and debate in the future, but as of now will remain Kansas's law. As of Monday night, the USD 489 school board has met in regards to a new bid proposing reconstruction of roofing at both Roosevelt Elementary and Hays Middle School. Over the years, the district has done all they can to maintain the school's current construction. However, recent leaks in the kitchens of both locations have caused them to be written up by the Kansas Department of Health and Environment. Each project received 3 bids, with Roosevelt's projected start date being at the beginning of the fiscal year and the completed by the end of the year. The lowest bid for Roosevelt was from High Plains Roofing at a total of $241,298. The middle school received a bid of $46,120 from Ray Roofing, much less than the damage to be repaired at Roosevelt. The next meeting will take place on Monday, March 25th, where both projects will be voted on. Other items from Monday night's agenda include the next year's school calendar, new recommendations to the board policies, and updates on the Kansas education system's accreditation assessment. Saturday evening, Hayes Assistant City Manager Jacob Wood declared Hayes to be under a Phase 1 winter storm traffic emergency. During this time, it is unlawful to park cars on streets labeled an emergency snow route. As the poor weather conditions continue, these measures are still in effect. Sunday night, the temperature dropped to a below freezing, but not record-breaking -8 degrees. The current record low was recorded in 1960 at -11 degrees. Wind chill values Monday morning measured as low as -19 degrees. The city of Hayes asked that the community help by driving slowly and with caution if absolutely necessary to operate a vehicle. Citizens are asked to allow themselves extra time getting places and allow for extra stopping distance as the snow continues to melt and freeze on main roads. City of Hayes roads workers will continue to plow through the snow and will prepare for this weekend as there are more frosty days in our future. When we return from this short break, stay tuned for news around the globe.
Here at Fort Hayes, we believe in experiential learning. If you're interested in digital media production, coming to a school that can get you a degree gives you an organized, methodical way of learning about the field.
We like to make sure students get the tools they need and then have the freedom to go and do what they want with it as well.
Software-wise, we've got all the Avid tools and we've got all the Adobe tools. We also have certification programs with the Avid certifications for video production, audio production, and newsroom management.
I've gotten so much experience here that I don't think I would have gotten anywhere else. All the students are basically just one giant team, so it's just like a big family here. So I think if you're interested in media, you should definitely check out Fort Hayes State.
In the digital media concentration, you're going to come away with skills as a creative storyteller. Everybody's using video on the internet. Somebody has to produce that, and it could be you.
Welcome back, Tigers. I'm Lexi Gross, and here's what's going on around the globe. The aerospace manufacturer SpaceX launched its first spacecraft designed to carry humans. The spacecraft, named Crew Dragon, took off from Kennedy Space Center in Florida early Saturday and headed for the International Space Station. NASA tweeted on Sunday morning that Crew Dragon had attached to the International Space Station. The capsule is carrying a mannequin called Ripley, as well as a plush toy globe that flew around the cabin during flight to demonstrate when the capsule is in zero gravity. Crew Dragon flies about 254 miles above Earth. It will drop off 400 pounds of supplies at the space station before it returns home 5 days later. The launch was made without any humans on board, but SpaceX hopes this could be one step closer to being the first commercially built spacecraft to carry NASA astronauts to orbit. This is the first and only flight Crew Dragon will make without humans on board. If all goes well, the capsule design will go through a few safety checks and could be ready to fly 2 NASA astronauts to the space station in July. Here's a clip from NASA's Twitter of the launch. A conservative activist was attacked while recruiting students for a chapter of Turning Point USA at the University of California, Berkeley. Hayden Williams was recruiting at a center of student activity on campus when 2 men approached him. An argument broke out, so Williams started recording the interaction on his phone as well as another bystander. According to campus police, the suspect slapped the phone out of Williams' hand and then knocked over the table he was at. During the quarrel, the suspect punched Hayden several times, causing injury to his eye and nose. According to CNN, a spokesperson for Williams said he is a field representative for the Leadership Institute, which is an organization that helps train conservative leaders. He is not a UC Berkeley student and was invited to the campus to help recruit. The suspect has been identified as Zachary Greenberg, who was arrested. Greenberg is also not a student and has no affiliation with the school. President Trump responded to the matter on Saturday at the Conservative Political Action Conference in National Harbor, Maryland. Trump vowed to sign an executive order requiring colleges and universities to support free speech in order to be eligible for federal aid. The president did not offer any more details on the matter. President Donald Trump and the Chinese president could reach a formal trade deal at a summit later this month. The Wall Street Journal reported last Sunday that the two presidents are now negotiating a deal that would lower the Chinese tariffs on U.S. goods. The Trump administration in return will remove broad sanctions against Beijing. The two nations have imposed taxes on billions of dollars worth of each other's goods, disrupting manufacturing supply chains and shrinking U.S. farm exports. According to the Wall Street Journal, there are still hurdles that remain. Each nation faces possible resistance at home that the terms are too favorable to the other side. The U.S. Treasury Secretary stated that the United States is working to hammer out a detailed trade agreement with China that will include specific structural commitments. It is now believed that both sides could reach a formal agreement at a potential meeting around March 27th. The House Judiciary Committee will begin requesting documents from President Donald Trump's family, administration, and even his real estate empire. Chairman Jerry Nadler spoke on ABC News this week, stating that the document trial will be, quote, used to present the case to the American people about obstruction of justice and abuse of power, end quote. Nadler, who would oversee any impeachment proceedings against the president, signed a significant escalation into the congressional inquiries into the president on Sunday. The New York Democrat plans to request documents from 60 people close to Trump, including the Trump Organization, the Department of Justice, and the White House. According to CNN, a full list of individuals would be released on Monday, but Nadler did mention Donald Trump Jr., former White House Chief of Staff John Kelly, and former White House counsel Don McGahn would be on the list. Nadler said that impeachment is a long way down the road, but they are going to initiate the proper investigations. President Trump reacted to the situation with a tweet stating, "Presidential harassment by crazed Democrats at the highest level in the history of our country. Likewise, the most vicious and corrupt mainstream media that any president has ever had to endure." House Democrats have vowed to investigate Trump's presidency and business as they await the special counsel Robert Mueller investigation findings. That's what's happening in the news world this week. Stay tuned for a sports update with Braden Holochek when we return.
One reason students should major in MIS is that it's a nice blend between technology and business. For MIS specifically, though, it's to improve business decision making. MIS graduates for about the past 10 years have had a 100% placement rate after graduation, which is either them continuing on to master's school or getting a job within the field.
The faculty and staff here at Fort Hays in the informatics department has helped me secure a full-time job post-graduation. They're really here to help us succeed.
I have to constantly keep up with all the evolutions and the trends so I can, bring these cutting edge or emerging technologies into the classroom so students can experience them themselves and also learn from them and be better prepared for when they graduate.
Welcome to the TMNtv Sports. I'm Braden Holochek bringing you a sports update. The Fort Hays State men's basketball team closed out the regular season with a home victory on Senior Day. The Tigers defeated the Gorillas of Pitt State 71-61 with the help of a second-half comeback. Brady Worth led the way with 20 points and a career-high 14 rebounds. Worth also notched a career mark of 1,000 points for his career. Trey O'Neal added 13 points, including 3 3-pointers. Nige Wright also provided 11 points off of the bench. The Tigers moved to 18-10 overall on the season with the victory and also complete the year with a 12-7 record in the MIAA. FHSU will be the number 4 seed in the MIAA tournament and will face 5 seed Lincoln on Friday, March 8th at 12 p.m. at Municipal Auditorium in Kansas City. The Fort Hays State women's basketball team held on to defeat Pitt State on Senior Day 67-62. The Lady Tigers raced to a 23-9 lead at the end of the first quarter. However, the Lady Gorillas closed the lead to 7 with a 13-4 run at the end of the first half. Pitt State continued to lead a rally in the second half, but 6 made free throws by Lainey Page, Casey Kinnett, and Whitney Randall in the final 3 minutes held off the Gorillas. With the victory, the Tigers moved to 27-1 overall on the season and finished 18-1 in the MIAA. After a tremendous season, FHSU earned the top seed in the MIAA tournament. They will face the winner of the matchup between the 8 seed Nebraska Kearney and the 9 seed Missouri Western on Thursday, March 7th at 6 p.m. at Municipal Auditorium in Kansas City. This weekend, Fort Hays State will have 1 wrestler competing at the NCAA Championships in Cleveland, Ohio on March 8th and 9th. Brandon Ball is ranked number 1 in the 141-pound weight class. The bracket pits Ball against Dylan Nace of East Stroudsburg before the round of 16. Ball enters the championships with a record of 24-0. The Kansas Jayhawks basketball team squeezed out a tight 72-67 victory at Oklahoma State on Saturday. The back-and-forth contest featured 8 lead changes. In the first half, freshman Quentin Grimes led the way for the Jayhawks. His team-leading 10 first-half points were strong, but Kansas still entered the halftime break, trailing by a score of 37-32. Kansas and Oklahoma State traded blows going up and down the court with an urgent energy. A late three-pointer from Grimes tied the game at 67. Finally, the Jayhawks finished by scoring the final 8 points of the game to close out the game. Kansas was led by junior Dedrick Lawson in the second half. He finished with 20 points and 15 rebounds. Kansas moved to 11-5 in Big 12 play with hopes of winning a 15th straight conference title still in the balance. KU will return to action on Tuesday, March 5th at Oklahoma at 8 p.m. On Saturday, the Kansas State Wildcats basketball team grinded out a 66-60 victory against Baylor to remain in a tie for first place in the Big 12. Senior Dean Wade led the Wildcats throughout the game, finishing with 20 points. Another senior, Kamal Stokes, finished in double figures with 16 points. The final of the senior trio, Barry Brown Jr., recorded 10 points as the seniors provided 46 of the Wildcats' 66 points. Xavier Sneed also had a fine day by netting 14 points. Baylor would not back down, but ultimately the effort of Kansas State proved to be too much for the Bears. Kansas State moves to 12-4 in Big 12 play to remain in a tie with Texas Tech. KSU is also now 22-7 overall in the season. Their next contest is on Monday, March 4th at TCU at 8 p.m. The FHSU men's and women's track and field teams will compete at the Indoor Championships March 8th and 9th at Pitt State. The Fort Hays State baseball team recorded their first victory of the season on Saturday. The Tigers defeated Southwest Baptist 10-7. This victory ended a 29-game losing skid, and they now sit at 1-13 overall and 1-5 in the MIAA. FHSU scored 5 runs combined in the first 2 innings. Landon Irway gave the Tigers their first lead with a 2-out RBI single in the first. Then in the second, Ryan Drazzer played at home Cody Starkle and Jake Taylor on a single to make the score 5-2 in favor of the Tigers after 2 frames. Fort Hays State used a 4-run 4th inning and a Grasser RBI double in the 5th to push the lead to 10-2. Southwest Baptist used a rally in the late innings, but it was not enough to come back against the Tigers. 14 hits, including 3 doubles, paved the way for the Tigers' victory. Grasser and Ryan Stockland both had 3 RBI days, while Garrett Francis produced 4 runs. Next, Fort Hays State will play this weekend versus Emporia State. This Friday, March 8th, the series will kick off at Emporia State as the series has been moved due to snow and future forecasts. The Fort Hays State softball team picked up a pair of victories on Friday when they swept Pitt State in a doubleheader. In Game 1, the Tigers took an early lead in the first inning with a Bailey Boxberger RBI single. Pitt State answered with a pair of runs in the bottom half of the frame. In the second inning, the Tigers took the lead back with a 2-out bases-clearing double by Grace Phillop. Jenny Moore, Lily Sale, and Katie Adler all came in to score on the play. Pitt State would eventually tie the game up at 4 with a pair of runs in the 6th inning. In the next inning, Boxberger blasted a solo home run for her 4th hit of the day to give the Tigers the lead. This would prove to be the game-winning run as pitcher Haley Chapman recorded 2 strikeouts in a 1-2-3 7th inning. Chapman would wind up picking up the win in relief as the Tigers won Game 1 by a score of 5-4. In Game 2, Chapman continued her dominance on the day with a 4-hit complete game shutout. The Tigers scored all 6 of their runs in 3 straight innings. The moment that sealed the win was when Boxberger launched a 3-run home run in the 5th inning, her 2nd home run of the day. Boxberger finished the day going 5 for 7 at the plate with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. The March 5th doubleheader versus Kansas Wesleyan has been postponed. The Tigers are scheduled to play a doubleheader on March 6th against Regis University in Denver, Colorado. Later in the week, the schedule pits FHSU in a doubleheader against Central Missouri on March 8th and a doubleheader against Southwest Baptist on March 9th. The Royals received a massive blow to their 2019 plans over the weekend. Reports revealed that star catcher Salvador Perez may have suffered a crushing injury. An MRI on Thursday revealed that Perez's ulnar collateral ligament in his right elbow was severely damaged. Perez will receive a second opinion early this week in Los Angeles, and the likelihood is that he will undergo Tommy John surgery. If that is indeed the case, then Perez will be out for the entire 2019 season. Tune in later this week for another episode of TMNtv Before This Weekend to stay up to date on the latest news and information throughout the week. Visit TigerMediaNet.com. Until then, remember, Roar Tigers.